wrestling fans? My name is Brian Crazy. You're watching my brand, that from brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com and the World Wide Web. Since 2010, providing you with the wrestling news, reviews, rumors, insights that you grow accustomed to. And you saw the title of this video. I am back with my review of TNA Impact Wrestling for January 24th, 2012. We start off the show with a recap of the events over the last few weeks, especially highlighting what happened last week on Impact with the Brooke Hogan Bully Ray wedding that ended up turning into the unveiling of Taz as a member of the Aces and Eights, the attack on the attack on Hulk Hogan, the attack on Sting, the attack on Bully Ray, and everything that took place after the camera stopped rolling. Then we see Taz is not at the announce table, and then we go to a segment out in the parking lot. The whole Aces and Eights stable is standing around, and they're all cheering on a guy that's on a motorcycle. Kind of look like they're all tripping on LSD or something. Don't really know what's going on here. But then we go to the ring. We see Taz come out, and Taz cuts a promo with the rest of the members of the Aces and Eights, including Taz. There was 12 guys out there. And Taz's promo, I like Taz. Don't get me wrong. You know, I've seen a lot of criticism over Taz over the last few weeks. People are calling him a midget. People are saying he's not even a wrestler anymore, this, that, or the other. You know what? Taz was an incredible wrestler, and the injury stopped his career, made him end his career, made him retire. That does not mean he wasn't a great wrestler when he was a wrestler. And he's also good on the mic, in my opinion. I thought he could have been a great mouthpiece for the Aces and Eights, but the promo tonight just felt a little forced. It just didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like the promos that we've seen from like Doc, and even Devon has really stepped up to the plate and really improved his promo game. Taz kept referencing a higher power, and he also called himself Teflon Taz. He said his contract is ironclad and nobody can touch him. Of course, that's putting something into the storyline because obviously due to Taz's injury, he can no longer be physically involved in the ring or physically involved in competition or confrontations of any sort. So they want to make it so they explained it on television. Then we go to a backstage segment with Jesse and Tara. And then we go to Bad Influence. Kazarian has got his manager's license, and he will be at ringside with Christopher Daniels during the world title match tonight, where Daniels squares off against Jeff Hardy. Then we see Tara square off against Velvet Sky. Tara ends up picking up the win in this match over Velvet Sky after Jesse Goddard's Mr. Spectacular ended up interfering. He ended up holding down her legs, and this allowed Tara to pick up the win in this match. Then we see Sting backstage, and he says, you know what? You'll find out everything I'm going to say when I get to the ring. Then we see Canyon King and Zema Ion backstage, and these two are just bickering back and forth. Very similar personalities. They're always trying to one-up the other person. They're always trying to win by any means necessary. Very similar personalities. Then we see Joseph Park. He comes down to the ring. He talks about Open Fight Night next week. Impact Wrestling will be live from the UK. And he talks about he will call out somebody. He doesn't say who it is. He says, I don't want to kayfabe you guys. But, I mean, he just plays his part so well. I mean, Joseph Park and Abyss are just so far apart. You know, they could go around the world and meet on the other side. But, I mean, he's so versatile, and he's just so good at what he does. I am really entertained by Joseph Park, and I know a lot of other TNA fans I speak to are entertained by this character as well. Then we see Zema Ion and Kenny King square off against RVD and Christian York. Zema Ion and Kenny King are trying to one-up each other at the end of this match. Zema Ion goes for a move. Kenny King kind of pulls him away or pulls him off. Kenny King goes for a move, and then Zema Ion ends up stealing the win in this match. Now, I really thought Kenny King was going to be the next X Division champion, but it looks like there might be a chance that Zema Ion is the next X Division champion. Then we see Taz back at the announce booth. He says he has a phone call conveniently right before Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan come out to the ring. Sting ends up coming down, and Bully Ray wants to make it right. He says for months he's been trying to earn Hulk Hogan's respect. He earned Sting's respect, and he wants to make right by these guys. He wants to do what it takes. He wants to basically take out all the members of the Aces and Eights, and he needs that suspension lifted. Now, my question here is the suspension really still relevant? We saw, a wedding on Impact. Hulk Hogan endorsed this wedding. He's basically been at the Impact Zone or in the Impact Zone since the suspension was levied. I guess because it was never formally lifted, it needs to be formally lifted, and Sting assured Bully Ray that it would be lifted next week. Then we go into Rude versus Hernandez, and looks like Hernandez is actually going to pick up the win in this match. Rude ends up picking up the win in this match. This is after he gets help from Aries. These two bicker afterwards. I mean, they had a great segment earlier in the night, and another funny segment between these two guys. I mean, they're just a natural fit. I can't wait to see what they do with this team. I really hope that they keep them together as a team for a little period of time, or make them a team, I should say. Maybe even run with the tag team titles. It doesn't have to be an incredibly long period of time. It could be short-lived, but I think it would be really entertaining. I think it's something that the fans would really enjoy. Then we see Kurt Angle come out. He calls out Anderson next week on Open Fight Night. Anderson comes out and says, no. Kurt says, you don't understand. It's Open Fight Night. I'm calling you out, and we're going to fight in a steel cage. Now, these two guys had a great steel cage match going back 2-3 years, 2010. I wonder if they can replicate that. I mean, they're a few years older. You know, Anderson hasn't been competing as much as he did at that point in time. I wonder if ring rust is starting to get to him. I guess we'll find out next week on Open Fight Night. Then we go to the main event, Hardy versus Daniels. Now, I was really hoping this is when TNA maybe was just going to do something completely different. Now, I understand Jeff Hardy's a big money-making draw. He's probably the biggest draw in the company, to be perfectly honest. The casual fans gravitate towards Jeff Hardy. I understand all the reasons for him being, the centerpiece, the guy, the champion. And I just really feel like if they did something random here, just something different, it would have really got maybe not just the casual fans, but the hardcore fans' interest once again. Some of the fans that maybe have been tuning out in the last few weeks. Now, in my personal opinion, sometimes long title runs are great. Sometimes when you build prestige, when you have a champion, when you really establish that guy as your guy, it can work. But once in a blue moon, actually, a good percentage of the time, I'm not going to lie, I like unpredictable finishes. I like rapid title changes. I'm not saying they need to change every 2 weeks, but every couple months maybe. Just keep the product fresh, keep it something different. Keep the fans interested so you can watch Impact and you can think anything can happen on this show. Anything can happen. The world title can even change hands. Jeff Hardy is still the champion. I assume he will go all the way to Lockdown, and he will end up squaring off against, honestly, I don't know who at this point in time. Now, post-match, Jeff Hardy was attacked by the Aces and Eights. He was attacked with that same signature hammer that so many superstars have fallen victim to. And that's pretty much it for tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. A lot of builds towards next week's Open Fight Night, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. Now, I want to know your guys' thoughts. I want to know your guys' opinions, and I want you to drop them below. For the effing brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com and the World Wide Web, my name is Brian Crazy. I'll catch you later.